It seems Amazon's MMORPG New World is fundamentally broken. Not only is it hemorrhaging players, it has also had tens of thousands of gold coins injected into circulation via a replication glitch, and perhaps the worst thing, turns out there's a temporary invulnerability exploit in the game which is so deeply coded into how it works it might actually take a major rewrite to fix, allowing you as a player to delay damage and to stop yourself in mid-air. And until they fix this, every PvP war could potentially be glitched out. So let's discuss.
I was wrong, and that's good. It means the client is safer than we thought. It also means that Amazon are communicating with the players, which is a great thing to do. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Brian if you're new around here, but we've got a lot to dive into and talk about. Obviously, as you see the start of this video, Josh Streifhays tweeted out that he was wrong about the client-side authoritative remarks and fears that he expressed in his video. And I've seen a lot of comments in here already, especially on the previous video, going over Amazon's statement saying, man, how is Amazon lying so hard? It's been proven. Obviously, building off of Josh's videos, I expect that we'll probably see a video from him later today or tomorrow, especially as it relates to this topic. But we got a lot to talk about because I'm not sitting here and will never tell you that you should believe Amazon. Amazon hasn't earned anybody's trust. They haven't earned it. They're working their way through that right now, as we see kind of in real time as they push out bugs. You might think that that's what I'm saying, and that's very well fine that you can go off and believe that. But I'm hoping that also in this video I can kind of catch a lot of people up over the last 12 months because I've said a lot about this game and a lot about what we're experiencing right now, and I hope to kind of explore that with you guys here today. But I want to kick it off obviously with the concept of the assumption that was made, and it is an assumption because it is not proven. It was assumed based off of a certain amount of evidence, but not having the whole picture. You can believe and still believe Josh, but he's also retracted that statement. You can also believe Amazon, or you can think that Amazon's lying. Honestly, it doesn't matter, and I'll explain why it doesn't matter here in a little bit. But I'm going to dive into this. We got a little comment here, and I think this is a really good kickoff to this video and my thoughts and why I am the way that I am. And WillFan20XX says, I gotta say, I think you're missing the point. It isn't a simple patch the bugs issue. It's an issue of the core skeleton. This would require a major rework of the core game code to fix, and they've already fixed it. So clearly not a major rewrite. We've actually tested it out already today. You can go test it out for yourself. That's kind of a part of this whole conversation, especially as it relates to how information gets spread in the modern world, and how essentially once it kind of it's set in somebody's mind, it becomes extra hard to kind of like, I guess, step them back into asking questions. Like, is it really? Like, is it really proven? Is it really? Is like, but that is how it is. I also think that you're excusing the loss of players. Does every game experience a drop in players? Yeah, but New World has well-documented issue with retention. People get burned out by level 30 and leave. That's the case with every MMORPG. The core is fun, but bad quest design. That's the fact that they like. I don't have a problem with the quest design. Like, that's going to be a matter of opinion. Lack of variety. That's a common critique against every MMORPG, and a lack of identity. It is a PvE or PvP focused. It's both, all bogged down with the game, and people leave. That's just naturally going to happen. Plus, every week there is a new bug, a new exploit. Same thing in other games. Of course, one hopes that they will right the ship, but this is Amazon, a company that has shown little interest in sticking with stuff for the long haul. Very true. Amazon does not have a track record. Amazon had canceled their Crucible game, which was the right call because Crucible was not fun. In fact, I didn't want to make that video. I chose not to. I decided to go play like Gears 5 and had a blast with Gears 5. And you can clearly see when you played Crucible and actually like a real decent third-person shooter game, how bad of a shape Crucible was in. But let's break kind of this concept down. Regarding the loss of players, that's always, like I've been saying, that's always going to happen. New World, an unproven, an unknown IP by an unknown, really relative unknown studio, is stepping into the ring with Endwalker, with End of Dragon, so that's Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, even World of Warcraft, despite all of its recent problems as a company. And I honestly, I'm kind of expecting a company rebrand now that also BlizzCon is in the air in terms of its, future as ethereal. But outside of those 3 games, you got a ton of other games coming out. Amazon was always going to lose players. In fact, actually, the player numbers have started going up over this course of this last weekend. We've kind of seen it hit to the low of 300,000, and now it's starting to claw its way back up to the 400,000s for the active players, which is really surprising to me. Like I was expecting 100 to 120, maybe to 200,000 is kind of the like what I would consider like the core community of people who are actively like going to stick with the game for the short term. They're going to be stepping into the ring with established games, with established communities that have built upon and fixed a lot of the core issues with those games. That's always going to have been what happened. Like that is where they're stepping in. Now, that the player base is going to go play the games that they've already invested their time in. I think one of the core reasons why I think the way that I think is as many people who come in and say they are done with Destiny, they hate Destiny, and have logged 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 hours, despite even Bungie's recent thing with the whole like, putting the dungeons into that. Sure, 1 or 2, like a handful of people are not going to play that game, but the vast majority will. They're just kind of upset in the moment, but when the game comes out, it's going to be, people are going to go to it. I call it good game armor. As long as the game is good, like even with people and they're voicing their frustrations, they'll come back with it. I see the same thing happen in Final Fantasy 14 all the time. And you might be like, Final Fantasy 14 is perfect. Yeah, but people still get burned out of it. People have made, like, you could apply this comment right here. You could apply that comment on screen to Final Fantasy 14, to Elder Scrolls Online. I think chat and we're laughing that nobody talks about Neverwinter. I'm like, I don't even think about Neverwinter, but it's a game that exists. You could apply this very same comment to all those other games. You know what those games have in common? They push out content. So whenever you hear me talk about this, you should always phrase all of this in the concept of content is king. So yeah, players drop, players come back. Why do they come back? They come back because the game gets updated and gets updated with content. That's the rule. Like that is the rule when it comes to these online games. There seems to be a lot of drama. There's a vocal presence online that, oh no, this is the end. And then you go actually look at the numbers and it turns out it's not. Now, in Amazon's case, they don't have a proven record. I've said this. Should you trust them? Absolutely not. They need to earn that. They want to step into this arena and they want to win. That's going to be up to them. However, at the end of the day, like the players are going to choose what's right for them. Like, it is that I just see it as a simple equation. Push out content, players come and check it out, and whether they stick around or they don't, that's going to be up to them. You have this concept of what I would say kind of a nomad MMO player, where every nomad has kind of a home base, right? They're like, okay, maybe it's World of Warcraft, or maybe it's Final Fantasy 14, or maybe it's going to be Lost Ark. That's even another Amazon game launching in early 2022, which you should absolutely play because it is absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited. The thing that will be different about Lost Ark, and just get ready, like you can quote me on this one, is that you'll see a lot of people somewhat trying to compare Lost Ark to New World in terms of content volume at launch. Lost Ark being an MMORPG that's been developed for the last 4 years in Amazon's game that just launched today. So there's it's going to be interesting to see because players will be able to step into Lost Ark and have an insane amount of content to play through for free, and that's going to be something that'll be fun to watch later in first quarter 2022. So, why do I think about this? Am I missing the point? Like, I don't think I am. I get as a content creator that I typically don't stick with social norms. I do not sit here and echo what other people think. I usually just ask a lot of questions, and that can frustrate people because that's my default state. Like, is it? Like, well, how do we know that? Well, how do we really know that? And that's just how I was trained to think. I was in school, and I had a nun for a teacher, and she was like, ask questions, and then ask more questions, and then continue to ask questions. Who said it? What's their interest? What's like, etc. So even when it comes to Amazon, I'm still like, okay, but really, I'm just relaying the information to you. And that's kind of what I feel is kind of a part of my job as a content creator in this regards. I think what we're seeing here with the concept of Josh and what I've seen echoed in the comments isn't anything that surprises me, is that people get information, they set it, and then they go about their days because we're all busy and we got a lot going on. And that ends up becoming what we believe, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. And that's why it's like, I think the best thing for us is to always question everything and just kind of try to dig in deeper, not in the sense of an attacking way. People feel like sometimes questioning is attacking, or, like, but actually in having that dialogue and that conversation. I think that's one of the things that Josh does incredibly well. Like, if you guys aren't following his channel, I think you should. Like, he's an incredible content creator. He makes great videos, great points. Whether we agree all the time or not isn't the point. It's about having that dialogue and that conversation and getting the like, how does this person think about a certain situation and that understanding. But that's the kind of one I want to share today. Now, I said at the beginning of this video, like, why do I think these issues aren't important? Like, and a lot of people, like, maybe they feel they do. Two reasons. As a software engineer, as an actual software engineer, I classify bugs in minor and major kind of categories. Minor being something that's a quick fix. Something like this concept. They've already pushed out a server-side patch, didn't require a client-side update, and it fixed the issue. We tested it out, fixed the issue, we'll keep testing it. Maybe there's going to be other bugs that are introduced. That's just the nature of the game itself. And so a major issue, something that would take months and months, 3 to 6 months typically, and then if you're lucky, 3 to 6 months, could be more, would be a major bug that takes that kind of amount of work. That's essentially what the communication was. That's the assumption, is that this could be a major thing that the game has to do, but it was obviously fixed within, when it was reported, like a day or two. So I would classify that as a minor bug. The gold duping issue is the thing that I currently have classified as a major issue. We'll have to see how that gets fixed. It doesn't seem as widespread overall, but it is going to be how it is. And those are the thoughts there. Now, the second side of it is like, why do I think none of these are really big issues? And this just comes from personal experience. Like 2 years ago, I went over to my friend's house. He was distraught because he just got a call from one of his friends. His son, who was 10 years old, was riding his bike and fell off, wasn't wearing a helmet, and later died. So yeah, I don't think any of these things are fucking issues. So that's just my take. So you're welcome to do it. That's just how, like, when I classify these things, I'm like, is this really an issue? I just don't see it as an issue, because I've seen people have real issues and real problems. And that's just how and that's just the content creator that you either will deal with or ignore here at Ginger Prime. So thank you guys for your time. Hopefully this was an informational video and you got a little bit more insight into kind of how I process and think about things. Hopefully if you enjoyed the video, you give it a like. I'm sure it's going to get a lot of hate because people are humans, and people YouTube like they YouTube. So all the fear mongering around this is really peak YouTube, and I just, it's very entertaining for me, and that's the only way I can say it. I do not hate anybody. I'm sure people might feel differently, and they're welcome to their opinion. You can always sound off below. Try to be as respectful as possible, because guess what? You're never going to change anybody's mind with a insulting comment. It just doesn't happen. If it happens, if that day happens, please send me that evidence. I'd love to see what the odds are. I'd love to have that kind of thing to help model my expectations to how people engage on social media. Anyway, guys, I love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. You're awesome. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.
I just want to say I'm really glad you're feeling better, and I love the videos. Well, I love you too. Michelle? Shoot for the moon, and so even if you fail, you'll reach the stars. Go for the 100K subscribers.